WJRW Grand Rapids and WLCS North Muskegon, proud to be Cumulus Media radio stations.
Touchdown Lakers!
The following is a special presentation of the Grand Valley Sports Network. The road to the GVSU football season starts here. The 2025 GVSU football campaign kicks off August 30th, and we're taking you all the way with the GVSU football road tour. Join head coach Scott Wooster and some special guests for a preview of the season to come. Now live on location, here's the GVSU football road tour crew.
Well, good Monday evening, everyone, and we're coming to you live from Uccello's Ristorante in Standale, Michigan. My name is Brian Fongers, filling in for Steve Lloyd-Jones this week. Believe it or not, we are 24 days away from the 54th season of Grand Valley State football kicking off. And why not kick off our coverage with our first GVSU football preseason roadshow here at Uccello's in Standale in West Michigan. Head coach Scott Wooster will join us in just a moment as he is entering his third season as head coach of the GVSU football program, his sixth season overall. He spent the first 3 years as the offensive line coach and run game coordinator. And, Coach, as I bring you in here, our first show of the season, we're going to have some fun. We're going to talk about the off-season, what you guys have been doing since the end of the 2024 season. But it's hard to believe we're less than a month away from kicking off the season. You play a Week 0 game this year.
That's right. No, I appreciate you having me on, Brian, and doing this. And fitting that we're at Uccello's because this is our pregame meal. Fridays, they put out this spread, a pasta, chicken, everything else. So they fuel the Lakers, so why not get the road shows going at Uccello's because it works out perfect.
Yeah, this is the first of 4 quote-unquote preseason coaches shows. We will have one coaches show leading up to your first game against the Lincoln Lions on August 30th, a 1 o'clock kick in Allendale, but we have 3 preseason road shows. Next week we'll be at Condado Tacos and Tequila in Grand Rapids. In a couple of weeks we'll be in Snug Harbor in Grand Haven, beautiful there along the lakeshore. And Scott, I want to start off by asking you, 2 years in now as the head coach. Last year, another great season, 11-2, 6-1 in GLIAC play. Lost in the second round to the Harding Bison. But now that you've had some time to, I guess, reflect in the offseason, how would you assess the job that you have done in your first 2 seasons?
Well, I mean, obviously the wins, you talk about great. We're talking about getting to great. I would correct you there and say been a couple good years, right? But especially at the standard of Grand Valley State. But it kind of brings it into perspective. Last Friday, Christina, my wife, and I went to Colton Heibel's wedding. Colton marries his sweetheart there at Kendall, and what a great wedding, what a beautiful day. But puts it a little bit in perspective because you know who's there, right? All the guys that over the past couple years, and you take this class that just graduated, just finished up in 2024, and getting a chance to see Kyler and all these guys that put it down the line, put the black and blue on in Lover Stadium and everywhere else, and then get to hear the excitement in their voice about their next 50 years, right? So that put it in a little bit of perspective. And then last Thursday night we had a little watch party, Hall of Fame, something going on in Canton, Ohio.
Yeah.
And our guy Ian, first play, obviously.
Yes.
First play as a pro, gets in there, shimmy tackle, and kind of makes some headlines, gets on some social media, and plays phenomenal. 6 tackles and great range at the post safety and everything else. So, when you look at the big picture, really, really excited about these past 2 years. I think we've graduated all but 2, and they're both 3 credits away and have a plan to finish and graduate and get on with their next 50 years. But, yeah, it's been really, really good, and just taking that step to greatness. And that's been, since January and really since we got off the field after that Harding game. That's been the focus is, going from good to great, taking that next step. What does it take to be truly great?
And that senior class, 44-7 was their record. 2 GLIAC championships and 4 consecutive appearances in the playoffs. Now, when the COVID year hits, you don't play a season. Was there kind of a reset button that was hit within the program? Because the year prior, obviously, it was a year where it didn't live up to the standards of Grand Valley State football, didn't make the playoffs. But did that COVID year kind of help out the program, kind of hitting that reset button?
No, and I think that perspective, Brian, and I'll just say this, that last game of 2019, I was in Lover Stadium on the other sideline. And that was a big impetus for Christina, Ellie, and I to come here because Wayne State was 8-3 that year, beat Grand Valley State for the first time in forever, right, 35 years, and got the wooden shoes, all those things. And that was celebrated like it was the Super Bowl. And there was some frustration because that roster, that team that we had at Wayne State felt like that could be a playoff team, that could be a championship team. And to me, we underachieved a little bit, but obviously had the big finish. Grand Valley State goes 8-3 that year and has to make some changes because that's not the standard. And so I think there was that reset, and Coach Mitchell did a phenomenal job of leading through a lot of adversity from the 2019 season through that early January of 2020 and then into COVID. And then you talk about the chaos of that COVID period, and Coach Mitch and this staff just did such a tremendous job leading through. And I think that was a reset, and it was a foundation was laid. And there was a tremendous group of guys that stuck together through some of that chaos. That 21 class, 22, 23, just talked about Colton Heibel, and then that 24 class was so unique because we had 6-year guys from the COVID exemption. We had 5th-year guys. We had 4th-year guys. Had a couple guys that had transferred in. And it was it's becoming such a rare and unique class because we ended up graduating 23 guys out of that class. And that's going to become very, very unique and rare in college football because of portal and because of some of those things, particularly with 6th and 5th and 4th-year guys. So I would say that, Brian, absolutely a reset and a foundation was laid during that time of COVID.
Coach, before we take our first break, the senior class, just to name a few, Kyle Knott, Cody Tierney, Gabe Brown, you mentioned Ian Kennelly, just a great senior class. If there is one word to describe that class, what would it be?
Well, and I think that, maybe resilient, the perseverance, the 6-year guys, the sticking together through COVID, especially early in their career. Like, it hit right when they got here, right? And so many guys across college football left and went on. But, again, the portal piece of this, there's so many guys that, looking for that money grab and looking for the cash, and those guys stuck with it. And a lot of those guys had opportunities to go and make significant amounts of money playing college football, and they chose to stay. And so they'll always have a place in my heart and our heart because they chose to be Lakers, and they finished with those numbers, those incredible numbers that you just talked about. And then, like I said, seeing those guys just last Friday, and they're on to their next 50 years, and the excitement in their voices and the gleam in their eyes about that. That really brings a perspective to it. But I would say rare, unique. That was a special class.
No doubt about it. Again, 11-2 last year, 6-1 in GLIAC play, made it to the second round of the NCAA playoffs. Coach, we're going to take a break. When we come back, now we shift our focus to the 2025 offseason. As they always say, once that last game of 2024 ends, the first day after, you focus ahead to 2025. We'll talk about the 2025 offseason after this timeout. Again, it's our first GVSU football preseason roadshow live inside Uccello's Ristorante in Standale. It's all presented by Coors Light, distributed locally by Alliance Beverage. More with head coach Scott Wooster after this on the Grand Valley Sports Network. Back live inside Uccello's Ristorante in Standale. My name is Brian Fongers, filling in for Steve Lloyd-Jones this week, alongside head football coach Scott Wooster. Our first GVSU football preseason roadshow is live and local here in West Michigan, the first of 3 preseason road shows. I went through the rundown. We'll go through it again later, but this is our first of 4 shows leading up to the season opener on August 30th, week 0, Coach, against the Lincoln Lions there in Allendale. But we're talking tonight about all things off-season, because right when the 2024 season ended, I'm sure you and the coaching staff got to work on 2025 and kind of planning, mapping things out. And I guess you could say, I know you recruit the 2025 class well before the off-season hits in December, January, and whatnot, but what goes through your guys' minds there in terms of planning things out? What do you go through first right when that season ends?
Yeah, and I think there's a bit of a dichotomy there, Brian, of you want to solve and you want to talk about some issues because they're fresh on the mind, but you also want to push those down the road to get the emotion out of it, right? So there were some pressing needs, particularly from a culture standpoint, that we had to address right out the gate, right? But while we're doing that, like you said, there was some recruiting and finishing that class of 2025. A lot of those guys we had committed since July, August, and trying to push the NCAA to get an early signing date for Division II as well. But as we're having those meetings that Monday after that Saturday loss to Harding, you know, the phone starts buzzing. Can I meet with you, Coach? Can I meet with you, Coach? And to that point where, like, every time the phone buzzed, right, the heart drops, because Saturday night we get done with that football games and collectives start reaching out to our roster, right? So these FBS programs, it's perfectly legal, right? The collective, the third party, starts reaching out to our guys saying, hey, you know, there's some money on the table if you enter the transfer portal. So kind of a multifaceted approach of just adjusting fire to attacking each one of those needs, right? We wanted to solve some things that were pressing issues culturally, specifically from the 24 season, and then retain our roster, right? Go to work on retain our roster, but at the same time going to work on, you know, the transfer portal to solve some of those issues. And we've made a philosophical decision that we're not going to be a transfer portal program, right? We're going to do it through high school recruiting. We signed 41. We got 41 freshmen, call them our new Blues, in here. Just reported just a couple days ago. We're going to got 23 guys committed in the 26 class right now. We're going to do it through high school recruiting, but there's going to be some spots, particularly last year. Take defensive back, right? 5 impact guys, 5-6 guys, but 5 impact guys that really played some significant reps and just balled out for us. And Ian Kennelly, we just saw him, right?
Yes.
Just a couple nights ago. But Grant Hart, Kobe Hayward, all graduated. Our 2 corners enter the portal, have FBS opportunities. So we're believing in our development. We're believing in high school recruiting, but there was a couple spots there that we had to fill. So went to work on the transfer portal, and Coach Postma, Coach Lewis, particularly at the defensive back position, did an awesome job. Offensive line, we went to work. A couple other spots in that December, early January window. So multifaceted approach going through there. And Christina's sitting over here, and she'll probably tell you, like, we're going through Christmas. And we went to her family's, and I'm on the phone all Christmas morning. And we ended up getting our last transfer committed on Christmas Day, and actually the full commitment on the day after, and kind of was able to exhale a little bit, right? Take a deep breath and enjoy a couple of days of the holiday going into New Year's Eve, but then right after that, getting them into school and getting them rolling. So, like you said, it's on to the next. You know, you see these memes of Bill Belichick, right? Thanksgiving. Well, Thanksgiving's we're on to Christmas, right? That's kind of the mentality, particularly at that time of the year now. The NCAA a couple years ago tried to create a dead period for coaches and for recruiting. Well, that went to the side when that portal window opened, because that roster management piece of December, of May, not just the high school recruiting, but those 2 portal pieces have impacted us greatly. And it's been a tremendous opportunity for us, because it's opened the door of, we have access to high school recruits that we've never had access to before. And like I said, through the recruiting process, Then you get them on campus just a couple days ago. Our first practice was today, and seeing some of those guys move around, run around. Some of the late nights and portal recruiting in December, well, there is some negatives, but there's some massive positives. And like I said, our coaches did a tremendous job in the portal. We had a guy, University of Dayton transfer, Josh Anderson, made a heck of a play today, and he's been just a voice of maturity and an awesome guy in our locker room too. So there's tremendous opportunity, and we're embracing that, and it's paying off big time for us.
You mentioned NIL. It's such a fluid situation. You don't know what's going to change with that on a day-in, day-out basis. How have you and the coaching staff adjusted to the, just the scenery change of college athletics as a whole?
Sure. No, and a lot of that's communication and professional networks and connections because, again, with the settlement was supposed to be settled, and then it just kept on pushing back. And that has major impacts on us, right, in terms of what Division I rosters are and what those things are going to happen. So trying to stay in tune with that, and the trouble is they don't know either, right? Nobody knows. And if they say they know, probably don't listen to them because, there's just not that information out there quite yet. So coaches have done an awesome job communicating with their professional networks and getting as much information as possible. And we've had some phenomenal people at Grand Valley State. Again, Grand Valley State, right? The Laker Nation have stepped up and got a GVAS. Direct you to that website if you want to make a donation or invest. You want to make an investment into the GVAS collective and support our guys. That would be awesome. But we've had some people step up and get in that space too, and really capitalize on that and taking care of our guys in ways that have never been taken care of. So extremely chaotic times, but extremely exciting times too, both for the student athlete and for us as coaches.
He is head football coach Scott Wooster. Coach, stick around. We're going to take another timeout. When we come back, we'll get more into the recruiting side of things. Like you said, a big recruiting class, and what's your thought process, how you go about attacking the recruiting class on a year-in and year-out basis, because it differs on a year-in, year-out basis based on your needs, like you said, and who you go for and what areas you want to hit hard the most compared to others. So we'll talk about recruiting as we continue along with our off-season conversation, what Coach Wooster and the coaching staff have been up to from December to this point. Camp got underway today. No pads, but the boys were flying around. The energy was high. Football season is back, folks. 24 days until the season opener for Grand Valley State. Take a time out. More of the GVSU football preseason roadshow from Uccello's and Standale is coming your way next here on the Grand Valley Sports Network. Back live on a Wednesday evening inside Uccello's in Standale. I'm Brian Fongers in for Steve Lloyd-Jones this week for our first GVSU football preseason roadshow presented by Coors Light, distributed locally by Alliance Beverage. As we're chatting about the offseason, talked about the transfer portal, the NIL, what the coaching staff did right after the 2024 season ended for the guys. Now we kind of move along and progress here to recruiting. Signed a really big recruiting class, just over 40 players, as you mentioned in the previous segment. And each year it's different. You want to attack Midwest recruiting. That's probably where you guys go after the most in recruiting, especially here in the state of Michigan. There's a lot of great talent here in West Michigan. When it comes to the 2025 recruiting class, what was the identity, or I guess the area that you were looking for out of this class?
Yeah, and you talk about Division II recruiting from the Division I level, 85, and those lines are climbing right now, 105, 85, but there's a spot, right? In Division II, there's not necessarily a spot with the partial scholarship model, so you're looking, it's a wider range you can approach, right? And we've accelerated the recruiting to, like I said, the summer unofficial visits. And we probably had in the neighborhood of 21, 22 guys committed at this point a year ago, about the same number we have right now. But being a former high school coach, knowing what that senior year is, and we talk about it all the time, some of our best players traditionally and historically have come off that senior tape. So got a saying around the place, ABC, always be recruiting, right? And always be watching those tapes and always getting updated with the high school coaches. And we were able to add just some tremendous talent in that late December and January to finish out that class. But you made a comment that I think is really, really important, the Midwest piece, and particularly the state of Michigan. As you look at the state of Michigan, one, we're talking about access to guys we've never had access to before. You take Michigan, Michigan State, Central, Eastern, Western, 5 Division I FBS football programs in the state. Well, the phenomenon probably in the mid-2000s, a lot of them started leaving the state and national recruiting, right? And it opened up the doors to guys and increased the quality of Division II football. Well, now with the transfer portal, they're recruiting our roster. They're not recruiting the high school prospect. We're recruiting the high school prospect. And particularly in the state of Michigan, the quality of the football, the development, the seriousness of it, and right here in West Michigan, Southeast Michigan, the entire state. And as you look at it just from a high school football coach's perspective, I was there, Coach Anise was there, Peter Sturz, Matt Hope, Jason Couch, Bellamy now back at Michigan, was at West Bloomfield, Corey Parker's at Illinois, Coach Palka, like it goes on and on. The coaching and the development in the state of Michigan, high school football in particular, is amazing. So we don't have to get on planes and go too far. So the focus really is, there's particular need of, maybe it's defensive back or offensive line that year or whatever the need is, and there's some perpetual needs in those positions. But in the Division II level with the partial scholarship model, as financial aid packages and everything else work, it's not a set number, right? So you can continue to recruit until, right, it's a little bit more of a money ball GM standpoint, so you continue to recruit to all those. Don't want to say no to a guy that can impact greatness, right? And we'll continue to recruit all the way up until that signing day.
Yeah, I think I read it correctly. Almost 30 players from the state of Michigan that you had in this recruiting class. So like I said, it's just a testament to the talent that is here. It's not, no disrespect to a great state in Ohio or Illinois, but there's just great talent here.
No doubt. And that's the thing, too, is, you kind of draw that 5-hour drive, right? And we recruit Chicagoland heavily, Indianapolis North and Indiana. Northeast Ohio has been phenomenal for us. We've dipped down into Cincinnati, Dayton a little bit. Northwest Ohio is becoming stronger and stronger. So that kind of 5-hour window, there's so much great football, right? Like, why get on a plane and fly over those guys when you can drive and bring those guys on campus? And I think there is an element of that Midwest piece, the Michigan piece, where it means something. A lot of these guys grow up knowing what that GV means, and that matters, particularly west side of the state of Michigan. That matters to a lot of guys, right? Like in terms of maybe they'll have those opportunities to go transfer, but maybe they stay home because their roots are here.
Now you move on to spring ball in April there. You had 15 spring practices, if I'm not mistaken. Talk about the spring ball process, how the practices go, how it's structured, because it's obviously much more different compared to what you're going through right now in fall camp.
Yeah, no question. And so you got a 5-week window, essentially, to get those 15 practices in. And we are blessed here with the facilities. Blessed to be able to practice in the morning. We got a lot of have a great setup. But we'll practice Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. And then Monday, Wednesday, Friday, we come back and be able to watch the tape and lift. Continue as the development as a physical athlete as well. And we'll do that for 5 weeks and then conclude with the spring showcase or a spring game. I thought we were close to having the depth to be able to draft out rosters and go, but we had a couple injuries late, couple guys that were dinged up, so we stayed with kind of the scrimmage format. But yeah, the format of it, but this year was a little bit different in a Grand Valley State spring ball because, again, we've been so blessed with veteran guys. We've had those juniors and seniors. And after COVID, we had the gap semester guys, the guys who had to preserve a semester for that COVID exemption. So we had a couple of those guys out, but we still had a bunch of 4th and 5th year players essentially. And we had some continuity on the coaching staff and the same offense, same defense, similar special teams, right? And so we would get to that first, second, third day, and it was, reinstall, and it was accelerated install, and we were rolling pretty quick, and we're looking to fine-tune some things. This year was a little bit different, right? We had over 60 guys in the first, second, third year, not the 4th, 5th year, right? That roster kind of flipped a little bit because of what we had been talking about. So the growth this year was amazing, right? You would go from a Tuesday practice to a Thursday practice and operationally, fundamentally, our execution, man, we got that, right? Yeah. Or just how we practice and just the culture of how we practice in terms of staying on our feet and being extremely competitive but not being combative. Like, you could just see that growth from practice to practice or from one Saturday to the next Saturday. And that's what really gets you fired up as a coach, is just that growth. And you're not used to that at Grand Valley State because those guys had been ingrained to it, right? So tremendous amount of growth. And we come out of spring ball with a great feeling of a great foundation for the 2025 season. And just to back up just a little bit into that winter conditioning, right? The true development as a physical athlete in the OD weight room. Coach Mitchell, our new strength coach, has done a phenomenal job getting those guys ready from that standpoint in the Kelly, doing the running, the conditioning, change of direction, developing all those performance elements. But one thing that we really talked about coming out of the 24 season to back that, those kind of talks right after the season, was that leadership, right? And I think it's really, really easy as a coach to say, well, we just don't have leadership. Well, build it, train it, develop it, right? Just like you're developing as a physical athlete or as a positional player or any of those aspects, well, let's develop the leadership. So we did a team read this winter. We really dug into some leadership training, and our guys have done a phenomenal job with it. We just kind of named a leadership group here. We're going to get down to captains here in a minute over fall camp here, training camp here. But that leadership that was starting to get trained and developed in January, February, into spring ball, that was able to carry that growth, that foundation from spring ball into the summer, where we can't be around. And Coach Krzyzewski studied him for a long time, and he always talks about this player-led team, and a lot of coaches talk about these player-led teams, and that's what we're really feeling and seeing, right? And we talk to our guys all the time about is the closest I'm ever going to be to you in a football game is if you're playing the X receiver and it's on the hash, I might be 5-6 yards away. But as an offensive lineman, I'm going to be about 17 yards away, defensive lineman, right? And really, talk about being the best when it means the most. Well, in those critical situations, typically that's goal line. Going in, coming out, goal line stand, or got to go score. Well, I'm going to be about 30 yards away. Coach Lewis, Coach Postma, Coach Shue, all those guys are going to be 30, 40 yards away. We're not going to be there. It's you and the guy next to you for the guy behind you, right? So we've really developed that player-led culture, and it's really fun to see. It's really cool to see.
Yeah, no doubt. And we'll talk after this break about your team. Not breaking down specific positions. We'll do that in the coming weeks, but as a little teaser. You guys are on the younger side of things, especially in some positional groups. So I think having those spring practices definitely will benefit those younger guys. We'll dive into that more as we take another timeout. Coach, we're already a half hour through.
That's it.
This show is flying here live inside Uccello's Ristorante in Standale. I'm Brian Fongers. He's Scott Wooster, the head football coach. More of the GVSU Football Preseason Roadshow from Uccello's is coming your way next after this timeout on the Grand Valley Sports Network. We're moving on to our second half hour of our first GVSU Football Preseason Roadshow inside Uccello's in Standale. I'm Brian Fongers, filling in for Steve Lloyd-Jones this week. He is head football coach Scott Wooster. It's all presented by Coors Light, distributed locally by Alliance Beverage. And Coach, we've talked about recruiting. We've talked about the transfer portal. We've gotten a little bit into spring ball. I mentioned going into the break there, relatively younger team going into this season, but also, too, when you get into spring ball, there's yet another transfer portal window. It's nonstop for you and the coaching staff just trying to navigate through two transfer portal windows, recruiting. It just, from an outsider standpoint, yours truly speaking, specifically, it's like, how do you guys do it sometimes?
Well, and it really hit me right before camp from a vacation standpoint, right? In this role, you got 8 full-time coaches, you got 20 people in our building, and just trying to get that balance, that family time. And I don't know if the word balance is the right word, but trying to get that time with the families. And the accelerated recruiting piece, and July hits, and we're full into it, and then we go on vacation, and then we're on our phone the whole time, either trying to push a guy, from a commitment standpoint, or see where he's at, or congratulate and welcome. So, the no rest at this point, and it just moves. And again, the evolution of college athletics, particularly the game of football, with the two portal windows of those traditional times with family, times to kind of take that deep breath of Christmas time after spring ball or the summertime, they're gone, right? And again, we're blessed. We've had a tremendous administration. It's Kerry Becker here, Doc Arnold's here. We've got Tim Knott and Josh, everybody here that understand that too. And but it's different. It's different.
And wrapping up spring ball here on the youth side of things, I'm assuming that you are very pleased with the development of your younger players. You have a lot of freshmen that redshirted last year that are going to there's some players that are going to stick out, probably get some playing time, get into those rotational pieces that you're looking for. Are you pleased with the process and the progress of your team?
Yeah, absolutely. And coming out of spring ball, iron sharpens iron, the competitive piece that you're talking about. I mean, every day you're competing, especially at a place like Grand Valley State. That's what you come here to do. But at some point, right, it becomes completing each other, complement, but those position battles continue to go on, and everyone wants to know about the quarterback and that position, and rightfully so. We make no bones about it. We're a quarterback-centric program, and we thought it was important to name that guy coming out of spring ball. And Andrew Schuster, just from a consistency standpoint, and a day in, day out, we had some opportunities to go. You're outside into the wind, and the wind was blowing this spring, and a lot of times you're going to favor that young quarterback, go in the Kelly indoor, or go with the wind. And there was a couple points that, hey, let's go really see what this guy's got. And we turned the ball around, and it's blowing 25, 26, 30 miles an hour, 40-mile-an-hour gusts, and he's cutting the wind, and just did a remarkable job day in and day out. So named him the guy coming out, somebody to have his back. But the coolest part about it is Zach Oleniziak, Brady Drogosh, they had the same type of springs, and the complementary role of those guys and how they can take care of one another and complete each other is going to be really, really excited. And day one in camp, we're starting to see that already. But that's across the board, right? Yeah. Offensive line, again, 2 seniors, a couple guys hit the portal, so it's going to be a new look up front. And Brett Weaver became that guy. We call it the bell cow, right? The guy up front. And leading a younger group, added a couple transfers in there, and really excited about where we're at as an offensive line. Wide receiver, Kellen Reed's made some plays, and Jordan Johnson, and Sean Bird's the guy that had a tremendous spring. So across the board, we talked about defensive back. Defensive end, Kamani Potts showed out today and had a great spring. Jamari Budden. So, it's a mix. You know, there are some of those veteran guys, a couple transfers as veterans, but as a whole, we're young. But excited. They want opportunity. They're hungry. So excited about where we're at from a roster perspective, coming out of spring, going into fall camp.
We'll get into the summer workouts because that's an important piece as well. The players are on their own. They have to take care of themselves for a certain period of time before they come back for fall camp. But I want to touch on the lone new assistant coach that you guys brought in. He's a familiar face. He's a 4-time national champion. Let's get into the new defensive line coach.
Coach Mack, right? Coach Caruth, but goes by Coach Mack. And we had our kind of open welcome back team meeting, brought the freshmen a little early, brought the returners, the vets in last night. That was kind of our first team meeting. And we break on this championship pride. And I had been here 5 years. And it's just one of those things, you know, it's a break. It's a breakdown. You hear that term, championship pride, championship pride. I never asked what it meant, right? So I'm here 5 years, and we're breaking on it. So we get into the middle of spring ball, and we're breaking on. I go up to Coach Max, like, did you guys break championship pride back in the day? And he said, yeah. And I said, well, take a minute. Tell me what that means to you, right? So he comes back about a week later and gives it to me, and we talked about it as a staff, and then he talked about that last night. And that's irreplaceable, right? Mm-hmm. A guy that's been here and done it. And it wasn't the straight climb journey for him, right? There was bumps, there was ups, there was downs. So to have that perspective and have that insight of what it truly means to be a Laker and truly be a champion, and he's one of the rare guys that has all 4 rings. And he's an awesome D-line coach. And as we went into the search, it wasn't much of a search. We were very, very targeted. But 2 things on him. One, I think it's really, really important to have alumni on staff, right? For that guy that says, well, you just don't get it, Coach. Go see Coach Matt, go see Coach Stud, go see Coach Coop, go see, right? Like, they've lived this, right? Yeah. That class that you're having trouble with, these guys all had it too, and they had to take care of business. And I think that part of the perspective is extremely important. I think I lived that dream at my former job of being able to coach where you played and coach that position. But with him in particular, bringing this idea of this championship pride, and he wore that, and he's an awesome D-line coach. And I saw that firsthand. I was still the offensive line coach when he got back into it. And his journey was a little bit different. He didn't get into coaching until later in his career journey. And his first year as a full-time coach, from that year till year 3, the growth of that unit that he was coaching over at the other Valley was just significant. It was phenomenal. So when you add all those things together, that's a package now. That's a package, and he can bring so much, not just to our defensive line, right, but he can bring so much to Grand Valley State football in this community, and it's awesome to have in our building.
Yeah, that's Matt Carruth, again, a 4-time national champion and GLIAC champion, and you got him from Saginaw Valley State. But before we take another break, Coach, everybody else is back. From an assistant standpoint, how important is it to have that continuity in your coaching staff?
No, and you look at across the board, Grand Valley State's a destination job, right? It's a destination job. It's you don't leave this. I remember when I was getting onboarded in 2020, and there was a statistic about students, not student athletes, just students, of those outside that resided outside of Kent and Ottawa County, like something crazy, 55-60% stay in Kent and Ottawa County, stay on the west side. A phenomenal place to raise a family, all that stuff. But Grand Valley State in particular, because of the people, because of the pride, because of the tradition, because of all those things we talk about, because the opportunity we have here to be the best, to be great, it is difficult to leave, right? It is a destination job, and Coach Postma's 15, 16 years, Coach Lewis, 11 years, all 3 of his kids are Lakers, and across the board, obviously having the alumni back, but that continuity is extremely important, right? We're all speaking the same language. We're not installing a new culture. We're not installing a new offense, defense. The continuity is phenomenal, and that's one thing with Coach Carruth. He coached in this front at the other Valley, so very, very seamless transition across the board.
Coach, we'll take another break. We'll get into the summer workouts as we inch our way towards fall camp, which, again, began today for the guys, and it's the most wonderful time of the year. I know they say that during Christmas time, but from a football standpoint,
for us, yes,
absolutely. Less than a month away, August 30th, a Week 0 contest at Lubber Stadium against the Lincoln Lions at 1 o'clock. But before we get there, like I said, we're going to talk about how the summer went for the guys. We'll take a timeout. More of the GVSU Football Preseason Roadshow from Uccello's and Standale is coming your way next here on the Grand Valley Sports Network. We're back live inside Uccello's in Standale. I'm Brian Fongers in for Steve Lloyd-Jones this week. He is head football coach Scott Wooster. Our first GVSU football preseason roadshow of the season, presented by Coors Light, distributed locally by Alliance Beverage. We've been talking about the offseason. Got 15 minutes left. Boy, show flies by, doesn't it, Coach? We've talked about recruiting, the transfer portal, NIL, spring ball, you name it so far. Now we're moving our way into summer workouts because after spring ball ends, you can go through the process of communicating with your players and whatnot, what limitations, I guess you could say, you have with your players, but they're on their own for a few months. They do their own workouts, and that's an important piece as well because as growing young adults, they got to learn how to take care of themselves physically, being a football player and going through the grind of a long season.
Sure. No question, Brian. And, you know, they say one of the most important hires you can make is that strength and conditioning coach, because that strength coach is really probably going to spend more time than anybody else in your building with the guys, because it is that year-round deal, right? In-season training, off-season training, and then the summer. And in the Division II world, he's the only one that has access. So Coach Landon Mitchell, had the opportunity to coach him back at the other spot, and the cool story about that, it goes way, way back. His dad was an apprentice of my dad back in the day, right? So this thing goes way, way back to the Woosters and Mitchells, but he's done a phenomenal job with the development and the leadership of that. And then, like you said, the part of it, I remember finishing up spring ball, and that was exactly one of the things I said is you got to take care of one another. We talked about this leadership piece that really trained and developed, and guys had taken with it and just ran with it, and this player-led team, and studying Coach K and all that, and our guys have just they've owned that, right? They've owned that, and it's been so cool to see. So those two elements are critical in the summer months, and we kind of divide. Grand Valley State's got two summer terms, a spring term and a summer term, and we kind of divide it up a little bit. But that summer term, we had 93 of our guys on campus and training, and a bunch of other guys wanted to be part of that. And since we got some people here, could use a little OD expansion, our weight room expansion, because the only thing that limits us is the number of racks that we have. So if we could expand a little bit, maybe that's 100, 110 guys, but 93 guys on campus. And like I said, players taking care of one another. And as important as that is for development as a physical athlete, and they do player-led football and do some 7-on-7 and skill work and all that. So developing as a positional player, to me, it's the teammate piece, it's the team piece, it's the we all we got piece, because they're training. You've got some early morning groups so guys can go do their internships and get ready for the next 50 years, maybe some summer jobs. But those evenings, they're getting back together and grilling, and they're going to Whitecaps games, and they're going to Lake Michigan and hanging out in Grand Haven State Park. And like that chemistry, those relationships, that connection, man, like that's what the summer's about more than anything, right? Because it's going to get hard. Week 0, week 1, got Black Hills State RMAC team coming in. We're going to get on a charter flight, head down to Pittsburgh, Kansas, go to the jungle, one of the maybe the second toughest place to play in the country, right?
That's right.
But an awesome, awesome atmosphere down there, and it's going to get difficult. It's going to get hard. And grilling out, those guys hanging out, those guys going to the beach, those guys developing those relationships in the summer months, that's going to mean everything. And being able to hold each other accountable. And I think that's one of the most difficult things there is to hold a peer, right? Somebody, a friend, a guy that you have a relationship with, but hold him accountable. He skipped that rep or he shows up a little bit late. And that's what happens in the summer months when we're not around. And that is powerful, man. Like, that makes a huge difference in the growth and the development of a football team as you're going through that without the coaches. And I saw it today, right? We don't get to be around them very much in the summer, but then we saw that today as we get back together. I felt it last night as the energy comes back in the Hosford Football Center at that first team meeting. So really that fires you up, man. You talked about fall camp being Christmas. Well, they put a tremendous amount of work in, not just in that weight room and everything else, but developing those relationships and bonds. So yeah, that fires you up. That gets you going as a football coach to see these guys taking care of one another, leading one another, holding each other accountable, supporting one another, going through some stuff together. So, and that'll make a big difference this fall and for the next 50 years.
Yeah, before we take our final break, we are at fall camp. it's been a fun week. You got move-in day. You see the videos at GVSU Football on Twitter. The great social media marketing team have put out. The players are fired up. Move-in day is always a fun day as well, moving, especially the younger players into their dorms.
The anxiety, the anticipation.
That's right. But go through the process of fall camp here, how the practices are structured. There's just so much has changed. You can't just put on the pads and try and knock each other to smithereens anymore like they used to do back in the day, right, Coach?
Well, and I think there's, like right when the rules were coming into place, the contact rules and some of that stuff, the dogma of football, how are we going to get a football team ready? No two-a-days, you can't tackle, you can't do this. And the evolution of football, and it was kind of speaking to me because that's a big part of my background, exercise physiology and then the sports psychology piece of it. So the evolution of the single practices, and we've taken that to another level in terms of using some sports science to say utilizing an undulating load to have some high load and low load days to simulate a football game better. So of all those kind of fears coaches had 5-10 years ago when these rules came in place, and I think the NFL talked about it too with that CBA that said no contact during OTAs and limited contact during camp and all those things, there was so much fear of how can we get a football team ready. But maybe the good old days weren't the smart old days anyways, right?
Yeah.
And I think we can get a tremendous amount of work done and keep guys healthy, keep guys fresh. And, again, we're anticipating playing a 15-16 game season this year with 10 guaranteed, 5 in the playoffs. That's 15 games. That's a stretch. That's a run, right? So we got to develop that callus, got to be ready for those contact, got to be ready for those games, but we also got to be healthy. So maybe things have changed a little bit and transformed for the better a little bit with that.
Well, as one of the assistants said, I saw on a video earlier today as they were making their way out to the football field, tradition never graduates, right?
That was Coach Mack.
That was Coach Mack.
Yeah.
I figured it was.
Yeah.
And when he said that, I'm like, man, I'm so fired up for week 0 already. I'm not even playing anymore.
Yep.
He is head coach Scott Wooster. Coach will take one more final break as we're live inside Uccello's in Standale, and we'll wrap things up. It's been a fun but fast first GVSU football preseason road show. Again, inside Uccello's in Standale. It's all presented by Coors Light, distributed locally by Alliance Beverage. We'll wrap things up after this on the Grand Valley Sports Network. Preseason roadshow of the 2025 preseason. I'm Brian Fongers, filling in for Steve Lloyd-Jones. He's head football coach Scott Wooster. It's been a fun and fast first show, talking all things off-season. Chad Cashman back in the Grand Valley Sports Network studio. Thank you, sir, for all your hard work. Next Wednesday, we'll be at Condado Tacos and Tequila in Grand Rapids. Then 2 weeks from tonight in Snug Harbor in Grand Haven along the lakeshore. And then after that, it's the first in-season coaches show at Main Street Pub in Allendale. And Coach Wooster, as we wrap things up here, I want to get your thoughts. There's been a lot of turnover nationally in the Division II football landscape. The playoffs have expanded by 4 teams. The top seed in each of the 4 super regions don't get a first-round bye anymore. And also, there was some realignment. So give us your assessment and breakdown of everything that happened there.
So I'm looking for Tim Knott. Tim could tell you the year. The last realignment, right, 2014, 2015, right? And I saw this graphic. I was talking to Tim about it, and Tim could tell you this. The last realignment in Division II, 2014, 2015, right? And there was this graphic that said previous to that alignment, every national championship except one was decided by 1 score. Post that alignment, only 1 national championship was decided by 1 score. Like 6 of them were 3 or more scores. So the NCAA said, this is
time for a change.
The time for a change, right? And you had Super Region 3 with the GLIAC, with Ouachita and Harding and the GAC, and, right,
the MIAA.
MIAA, Pitt State, Northwest, everybody in there. So the national championship was coming out of Super Region 3, right? The semifinals were round 2 or round 1. The championship was round 3, and that regional championship. So it was when we saw that, like, okay, that makes a tremendous amount of sense. So taking the MIAA, the GAC, sending them out to Super Region 4. And that was the other frustration is, early in the playoffs, we were talking about you didn't want to avoid flights, everything else. Well, we're flying teams over a conference that defected from our conference to go make the GMAC. Well, now that GMAC's back in our region, and the Northern Sun as well. So bring some, I don't know if parity is the right term, but it spreads that out where those regions, I think the semifinals, the finals, you'll start to see those tighter football games in the semifinals and the finals, which that's what it's about. That's what a tournament's about, is finding the best 2 teams and not eliminating one of the best teams in the country in the first, second, or third round of the playoffs. So it was happening in Super Region 3. So, we love that. The 32 teams, more opportunity, I guess, and that'll be great. We're looking forward to it.
Coach, before I let you go here, as we wrap things up inside Uccello's in Standale, as camp is officially underway here, what are you looking forward to most?
This next team meeting that I got an hour, right? Get in front of the guys and just be together with we all we got. And that's what camp, we want to see this offensively, defensively, special teams, and all those things. But I'm looking forward to getting back in front of those guys and getting with those guys and having a great time tonight at a team meeting.
Coach, it's been a fun first show. Let's do it all again next week in Grand Rapids at Condado Tacos and Tequila.
Awesome. No, appreciate you having me. Thanks for filling in. Did an awesome job, Brian. Thank you.
Thank you very much. He is head football coach Scott Wooster. Again, I'm Brian Fongers. Been filling in this week for Steve Lloyd-Jones. Again, our next show, next Wednesday, 6 to 7 p.m. from Condado Tacos and Tequila in Grand Rapids. This has been the first installment of the GVSU Football Preseason Roadshow, presented by Coors Light, distributed locally by Alliance Beverage, live from Uccello's.